Question. Yes.
Okay, so Islam was connected with Ishmael in a question. But Islam is a 6th century religion, right? It arose in the 6th century after Muhammad. And Ishmael has nothing to do with Islam except that the Arabs were supposed to have adopted him.
Okay.
Okay, so why is it being connected to Ishmael?
So it's true that Muhammad was born in the 6th century. He was born in the year 570. When he was 40 years old, his prophetic career began, and it lasted for 23 years. In the Arabian Peninsula, a part of the world that God gave to the B'nai Yishamel, to the children of Ishmael. And although Arabs comprise less than 20% of Muslims in the world, their holy book, the Quran, is written in Arabic, and it did emerge out of an Arabic crucible and an Arabic culture. That is undeniable. And in Indonesia, where there are as many Muslims in Indonesia as there are Arabs in the world. Okay, they are reciting the Quran in Arabic. They might not understand what they're saying. They might not, and more frequently not, they probably don't. And I think that many Muslim leaders regret that. But there is something very interesting about the B'nai Yishamel. We could talk about them for a moment. And that is that God made a covenant with the children of Ishmael. Made a covenant with Hagar. God made a covenant with her son. You read Genesis 16. And out of him would come a great nation. Now, just as the survival of the Jewish people is astounding, I mean, there are only two biblical nations that are here today, the Jews and the Arabs, the B'nai Yishamel. There are no Viskovs around today. The Vikings are gone. If you want to learn about them, you go to a library, you blow off the dust off a book, and you read about them. That's it. You didn't go to school with them. What is amazing is that for a very long time, from the time of Ishmael's death until the advent of Islam, all Muslims will tell you that the children of Ishmael were in a state of Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means stupidity or absence of knowledge, without knowledge. But they knew that they were B'nai Yishmael. And they never lost that Masorah. It was preserved. That's an amazing thing. That means that God, the Jews were, although many Jews converted out, lost their identity, lost their faith. Of course, the Bible is full of people, Jews like that. But we always had a remnant of Jews who were faithful to God, who were deeply faithful to God. In the Arab world, they didn't have that. In Arabia, if you were in Arabia in the 6th century, if you were in Mecca in the year 610, they were burying their daughters alive. You can discuss this with any person who's studied Islam. Everything I'm telling you is this. Every Muslim knows this. They were burying their daughters alive. At the Kaaba, there were more than 300 different gods that were worshipped there. So, so idolatry was everywhere in the Arabian Peninsula, except that there were Jews there that worshiped the one true God. And there were Jews in what is today Saudi Arabia, what is today Yemen, the Arabian Peninsula. So what is really quite stunning is that here God made a promise to Ishmael going back 4,000 years ago, and 1,400 years ago, the Arabs they've abandoned everything. Because according to Islamic tradition, the children of Ishmael, Muslims do consider Ishmael a prophet as well, but according in Islam, all of Ishmael's descendants were all idol worshippers. So that means according to Islamic tradition, for 2,600 years, they were worshiping idols, but they always knew that they were children of Ishmael and never lost their identity. And that, I think, is amazing. And then, according to Islamic tradition, of course, Muhammad would begin a prophetic career in 610, and that would continue until 632. A prophetic career that will begin in Mecca and then end in Medina, where he's buried today. So I think the covenant that God made with the children of Ishmael is astounding, that we could see with our eyes that it was preserved. And in one way, it's as miraculous as the covenant God made with the children of Isaac. Okay? I don't know if you've thought about that, but most people go, I never thought about that. But, you just scratch your head and go, well, how do they retain their identity? And what also is interesting is it's not in the Quran. Do you know that the Quran never mentions who Muhammad was a descendant of? The Quran never mentions Muhammad's genealogy. It's not there. In fact, the Quran is totally not interested in genealogies. In the Christian Bible, it's all over the place. The Quran, not interested. The only genealogy that's very important in the Quran is that of the Jews, the B'nai Yaakov, the children of Israel. That's it. That's the only genealogy. There's a consensus among Muslims that Muhammad was in fact a descendant of Ishmael.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra v'et nasa בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא ווואי